Next game is the Steelers and the Packers. The Steelers took this one 23-19. Jordan Love was 21 of 40, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also had 2 carries for 11 yards. This is similar to the beginning of the year, Jordan Love, where we weren't getting the completion percentage, but the yards were there, the touchdowns were there. He's more of a streaming quarterback, in my opinion, because when you look at it on the field, he just does not look right whatsoever. And you can kind of tell by this receiver output here that he just doesn't have it going. Still, there are worse quarterbacks to stream in when there's a good matchup than Jordan Love because he just falls into 2 touchdowns and a whole bunch of yards every once in a while, even if the completion percentage isn't there. So keep him on your radar. I just wouldn't start him every week. A.J. Dillon, another guy to keep on your radar. Just don't plan on him being a starter because 9 carries for 70 yards is extremely good efficiency. He had that 40-yard rush, though, so if you do that, then it's just 8 carries for 30 yards. Not as impressive, but still, keep an eye out here because Aaron Jones, his efficiency was terrible. 13 carries, 35 yards. Just not a whole lot going for these running backs right now. I don't expect A.J. Dillon to take over this backfield because every game up to this point, Aaron Jones was the clear better back. So don't read into A.J. Dillon's production too much in this one. Jayden Reed led the team in receiving, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. I do not expect this to continue because other receivers are getting more targets, but he's having a good string of games here. Luke Musgrave, 2 catches for 64 yards. He's a good streaming tight end. Dontayvion Wicks, he's really coming on here lately. 3 catches for 51 yards on 4 targets. Romeo Doubs had 3 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown. I would expect his role to grow at some point here, at least to pass Dontayvion Wicks and Jayden Reed. Christian Watson, I think he's a drop. 2 catches, 23 yards. He led the team in targets, though, so it's not like there's absolutely zero hope, but, I mean, with the performances he's put up to this point, I just don't see how you can have any confidence whatsoever in starting him. Aaron Jones, 4 catches, 19 yards on 6 targets. The 4 catches is nice, but it's not enough to make up for his lackluster day on the ground. A.J. Dillon just had the 1 catch for 11 yards on 3 targets, and Tucker Kraft, the backup tight end, had a catch for 6 on 3 targets. For the Steelers, they just keep falling into wins. 14-23, 126 yards, no touchdowns, and no interception for Kenny Pickett. He had 4 carries for 16 yards. Do not play Kenny Pickett whatsoever. It's just amazing that this team still finds a way to win. They're 6-3, and Kenny Pickett has done absolutely nothing so far. Jaylen Warren had 15 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris had 16 carries for 82 and a touchdown. Both these guys can have value. I just think their ceiling is about the same because they feed off of each other. So if one of these guys goes down, then play Najee Harris, play Jaylen Warren. I would just be a little more skeptical as long as both of them are healthy. But there are definitely worse options out there because these guys seem to be giving you about 10 points at least every single week, at least here recently. Calvin Austin also had a carry for 6 yards. George Pickens led the team in receiving, but he had 3 catches for only 45 yards. No touchdown, just the 4 targets. He tied with 5 other people for the leading targets. If you wanted to drop George Pickens, I totally understand because ever since Diontae Johnson came back, his production has completely fallen off a cliff. And it's not like he was just producing super consistently before Diontae came back either. So at best, George Pickens is super boom bust. If you want to hold for the booms, I get it. But if you need the roster space in like a 10-team league, I definitely get dropping George Pickens at this point. I just wouldn't put a priority on dropping him necessarily. Connor Heyward seems to be picking up from Pat Fryermuth's role. 3 catches, 32 yards. Diontae Johnson, super disappointing stuff here. Just the catch for 17 yards on 4 targets. There will be much better days ahead for Diontae. If the manager who has Diontae in your league is mad about this performance, I'd trade for him because there's going to be better days ahead. Najee Harris, 3 catches for 14 yards on 4 targets. Jaylen Warren also had 2 catches for 9 yards on 4 targets. They tied for that 5-way tie for targets there. Darnell Washington just had the 1 catch for 6 yards. I wonder why he isn't getting used more over Connor Heyward because Darnell Washington is a super athlete, and Calvin Austin just had the 1 catch for 3 yards on 1 target.